G'day legends, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. Today we're going to go through and answer all the questions on the Patreon. Got about 25 or so in there, so an absolute stack to get into. A reminder to you that are watching on YouTube, if you would like to join the Roo Crew, the link is in the description. Go check it out. $8 a month, just $2 a week. All the extra content in there. Honestly, there's too much for you to consume. I guarantee you. I challenge you, go in there, try it out for a week. If you don't like it, cash out, see you later, all good, no stress whatsoever, but I will be shocked if you don't find value in the Roo Crew. It is second to none. Speaking of value, she is the very early favourite for Dally M Rookie of the Year and looking like one of the value buys of 2024. Kat, Haddad, how are we?
That is the nicest intro you've given me in the however 2 months I've been here. That was unreal. I think I'm going to change my Instagram bio to that.
We were talking at Hello Sport the other day about how you and their new signing Cody are going head to head for Dally M Rookie of the Year. So it's going to be a very interesting race. I'll give you the hot tip, Kat. Cody's pretty handy at what he does. So you're up against it. I'm backing you in though. I think you can take it home.
Thank you so much. And to make that even better, you talk about people who sign up to Patreon and then, you know, might change their mind. Well, they'll be hearing from me if they decide to do that. So
you don't want to deal with any of that smoke. Let me guarantee you that. For those that are on Patreon, you would have seen yesterday or today, whenever it was, I got Kat a coffee with a marshmallow on it. That was because last time I got it without a marshmallow, she threw the coffee in my face. She has got a real fiery side, so you need to be careful of that, don't you, Kat?
Yeah. Look, I'm trying to keep myself under control. It's hard to not punch through the wall and do all kinds of things near. So I'm doing my best. So far, so good.
She's almost put her elbow through the locker behind her on about 15 occasions though, so can't win them all. But Kat, we are here to answer all the questions of the Patreon. You're going to read them out, then we're going to talk about them. I'm going to try and give pretty quick responses here. Just try and go through it. Won't be too fluffy or whatever. Let's get straight to the point and answer those questions. What have we got, Kat?
Let's start with Tyson Jones. He wants to know, if you aren't trading this week, Guru, what trades are you planning for next week?
Great question, Tyson. Great name, by the way, also. Not to be fucked with. Tyson Jones, mate, I will not be making trades this week for Supercoach. As you said, next week, I've got a few that I'm eyeing off. I'm lucky enough to already have Terrell May, and I hope all you guys do as well if you took that one little bit of decent advice I threw out over the last few months. So, mate, I've sort of got to work out what I'm going to do here. I think if Zach Labart absolutely brains it this week and scores 100 again, I'll probably try and move to grab him to make a little bit of money. But my problem is that I don't really have that much money in my kitty. I've only got about 70K in there, so that's a little bit of an issue for me. So I might have to sell a gun that underperforms. To be honest with you, mate, to be completely honest, I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do next week yet. I think I need to find some cheapies. I think because I've already got May, I'm in a spot where I don't have to deal with that whole front row forward shit fight you're all dealing with. So yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but I will be looking to grab a couple of cheapies, even if it means I have to sacrifice maybe one gun right now. I will be looking to bring a couple of cheapies in to make a little bit of bicky to start the season. What's next, Kat?
Very nice,
Actually, what trades have you got any idea what you'll be doing yet?
Oh, for next week, absolutely not. I am definitely not planning that far ahead at all, and I don't foresee that I will do that at any point in the season, other than, an obvious buy or state of origin, things that we can really predict. But we still don't know what these results are going to look like, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about my players by next week.
Now, I want you all to remember that quote from Kat, because I guarantee you,
here we go.
By the time she's spent a few months with me and Timmy, she'll be planning long in advance. And I'm not having a crack at you there, Kat. I can just see the evolution coming.
Maybe.
Brace yourself.
I'm open to it. It's never been my vibe. I feel like I make my best decisions in clutch moments, and I don't see that changing here. But we'll see. I'm happy to be proven wrong as well.
Clutch Cat, huh?
Yeah.
What's next?
The next question is from Tom Stewart. He said, thoughts on Brimo at centre. Would you have put him back at 1 until Campbell returns?
The great T-Stew came in here the other day, obviously runs How Good Sport. Go check him out on Instagram, podcast, YouTube, doing all great things. One of my longest serving mates, T-Stew. He's been through a lot. We've done a couple of Melbourne Cups together. We've got up to some Barney Rubble, me and T-Stew, but go check him out, How Good Sport, and all your social medias. Legend of a bloke, so shout out to you, Tommy. Mate, I know that you fucking hate Brimo at centre, and so do I at the moment. I can't stand it. I've seen you make a couple of good points about just how many touches of the football he's getting, and it shits me to no end as well. I can understand what they're doing long term, but whilst Jaden Campbell is out, yes, I would have 100% moved Brimo back there. And then on top of that, when Kieran Foran got ruled out the other day, I definitely 100% would have moved him into 5'8" as well. So I'm pretty frustrated by that one as well, T-Stew. So yeah, Brimo, I would have moved him into the spine at least on the weekend, and I would have done it when Campbell was out as well. What do we got, Kat?
All right. Sammy wants to know, there's a Lebanese flag in there. Welcome, a fellow Lebanese supporter.
I think I spoke to Sammy during the week. He actually lives in France too. Oh, it's the next comment.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry. Take it away, Kat. I'll shut up. What an idiot.
Kai Pearce-Paul to score a try. He looked dangerous and I loved watching him at Wigan. Also, Cowboys' attack looked a bit clunky at times.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd describe their attack as looking clunky, to be honest with you, Sammy. I thought they looked unreal, but we'll see. I will say this about the Cowboys. They impressed me a lot last week, but the Titans pretty much didn't get off the bus. So I'm very, very keen to see how that Cowboys attack looks against in what is, in my opinion, is a pretty good side in Newcastle. Mate, Kai Pearce-Paul, I absolutely love him. I'm very jealous of your French bookie giving you 8-1. I would be all over that like a rash, to be completely honest with you. Kai Pearce-Paul, you're getting about 5s for him over here with Ned. Getting 5s. We've got a reel coming out very soon about that. Would already be up for you guys. But yeah, I really like the value of Kai Pearce-Paul. I think he absolutely explodes this weekend.
Love it, love it. Okay, Raka. Hey, Guru and Catmandu. Hello. I've got Jai Arrow in my front row and I want to trade him out as I started with May and Hughes and Willison like yourself. I've got 100K in the kitty. Who do I pick?
Mate, to be completely honest with you, if you didn't have May, I would say go straight to Jai Arrow to May. But as you've already got May, Jai Arrow sitting on your bench this week, he's not going to lose you money. I would wait until next week and see what happens. For all you know, you could grab like a who have you got at the moment? You got May and Hughes and Willison. So, for example, like one of the other options, like a Sean Kepi, for example, you might go someone else and ignore Sean Kepi. For all you know, he might crash over and score 2 tries this weekend. All of a sudden, Kepi's the obvious guy to go to next week. If you don't have to make that trade now, it doesn't matter that Jai Arrow's sitting on your bench this week. It doesn't matter in the slightest. It's not like you're going to get a great front row option anyway. I would wait an extra week and see who the absolute best option is. For all you know, once again, Ata Mariota, he might crash over and score 2 tries. For all you know, there might be an injury to someone, in another, a Cowboys front row forward might get injured and it might bring McKaylee and all of a sudden he's the option. If you don't have to make a trade this week, don't do it. Sit on your hands, wait and see. Just because Jai is sitting on your bench at 450K this week, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't matter. Wait the extra wait and wait until you get the absolute perfect choice, mate. That would be my advice to you.
Great advice. Now, Angus Crawford, big question, this one. And all I'm going to say is it's never just ice cream, Guru. We've got a question here. What is your go-to ice cream?
Now, I will just point out that before we read this question earlier today, Kat said it, and I actually thought it too when I got home. I thought it was go-to ice cream, as in similar to when Bart Simpson was told to go to bread. That's how I read this.
It does sound like an order.
But it's our favourite ice cream. I'll tell you what, my guilty pleasure, Kat, when I'm at home Friday night, sitting back watching a movie with Beck, my guilty pleasure is the cookies and cream connoisseur.
Oh, that's a nice choice.
Yeah.
I'd say that is one of the best cookies and cream flavors that you can get, that brand. I would say, now I'm going to make myself, it's very much marshmallow with a coffee vibe, but I love a tiramisu flavored or a pistachio flavored ice cream. Pistachio, unreal. When like the Messina ones, oh my goodness.
I've always liked Messina, obviously, but there's a new one that Beck took me to a few weeks ago that's near like the Carriage Works. The name escapes me right now. Near CBA headquarters, near the big time CBA headquarters, Commonwealth Bank.
In Carriage.
Anita.
Oh, Anita Gelato. Yeah,
Anita Gelato, very good.
It's not that new. Hate to break it to you.
No, I didn't need that. Did not need that. The disrespect is unbelievable.
Yeah, I feel like it's people often compare Anita and Messina, so.
God, that's something Beck would say to me. Anyway,
let us know in the comments which one you prefer. Next question. Daniel Heath.
Daniel Heath Lestrange. How good? Take us away.
G'day, Roo. Supercoach question. Listen to what you said on Patreon in regards to trading a mid-range 2RF for Laybut. What about Fermor though? No Foz hurt. And then, sorry, this is trying to read these out. I don't want to butcher his language. No Foz hurt. And then when Fifita comes back, I feel he becomes irrelevant. Plus on a bye this week. I feel Fermor may have been a mistake. Would you trade him for Laybut? Cowboys bounce back looks well and truly on the Titans. Looked gross.
Yeah, look, I think that Bo Fermor, this is why I left him out because he will eventually be on the right-hand side, I assume. I'll say this, though. You picked Bo Fermor last week, right? He didn't score a try. His team went like a busted arsehole. Once Foz comes back in round 3, maybe that'll change and you might see him crash over. We don't know how long Fifita's going to be out for. I wouldn't rush to swap out Bo Fermor this week. Once again, he's got the bye next week. You can watch him for an additional week whilst you have to work out your shit with everyone else. I'd give Fermor an extra week. If something happens that he scores 2 tries when he comes back, you're going to feel like an idiot because you picked him from the start and you've already wasted a trade. I would just be patient on Bo Fermor. Just remember, he is coming back from an ACL injury, a major injury. He's played 1 game. They've now got 2 weeks, including a bye for Desik Hasler to work his magic. They get Kieran Foran back. They might come out looking like a completely different side. I would be patient on Bo Fermor. You picked him for a reason because he's a good footballer and he's a very bloody good footballer at that. I'd just be patient. Don't panic over Bo Fermor just yet.
Good question, Daniel. Sorry for butchering it. Mitchell Rogers has asked, arrow to who? I have Lukey, Smithies, Piakura, Fermor. Moved Cotter up to my front row forwards with May, also Hutchinson or Bostock or Talau.
Once again, mate, similar to the question I answered before, I would wait a week. You don't have to make that trade this week. Literally wait and see what happens this week coming. There's so many options that you could go, so many 2RFs, but just wait and see. You don't have to make that trade this week. Wait until next week and we'll see which 2RF puts their hand up once again. It could be one of a heap of guys. There could be an injury somewhere that someone else could come in. You might see, a Cowboys back row get injured this week and all of a sudden Finay Fuiaki's the main guy. Tallis Duncan, he might play big minutes on the edge. He might be the guy. Let's just wait and see. Kai Pearce-Paul might brain it and win that spot. You just don't know what's going to happen. I would wait a week. We've got a very small sample size. There is no rush to trade out Jai Arrow. He's not going to lose money this week. You got nothing to lose. Just wait a week. Sit on your hands. Watch the games, take in what you observe, and then make a decision off the back of that.
Sit on your hands is the real...
Yeah, it's a bad day to be hands. Very bad day to be hands.
It is a bad day to be hands. All right.
Got her.
Brendan Lamakia, he's asked quite a similar question here. Would you trade out Bostock or Hutchinson for Talau? Isn't that funny? You got the exact same question above.
Yes. That's wild. Once again... Wait a week. There is no rush to trade out Jack Bostock for one of these guys. Hutcho, Bostock, if they come out and have a good game this week, all of a sudden you're happy. Tommy Talau, he obviously plays in this game this weekend. For all you know, Tommy Talau could score 4. Let's watch Tommy Talau. The beauty is that we're going to get to the end of round 2. You're going to have to make all these decisions in the world. No matter what, Tommy Talau's price isn't going to change until round 4. So you don't have to make that decision just yet. Just because Tommy Talau is available doesn't mean you bring him straight in. You've got the luxury of waiting the 2 games, just see where he's at and then make a decision. Put out other fires, see what happens. For all you know, Drew Hutchinson could come out and score 100 this week, and all of a sudden that changes everything. Just be patient. Don't panic. I'm very sorry to all you Supercoach players that these answers are kind of boring and they're all the same, but it is just the reality of round 1. Do not burn trades when you don't have to.
The positive is you can build a bit of a list of players to watch.
100%.
And Talau is definitely one of those.
You build your black book this week, Kat, and then you make decisions off the back of it. And the beauty of it is you're going to literally have raw data of numbers to make that decision next week. These questions will probably be the exact same as next week. And by then, we're going to have a lot more information to go off, and then we make these decisions.
Yeah, and no price changes, like you said, so the questions will be just as relevant. Now, Connor Moran wants to know...
What a question.
Hey, Guru, what's your favourite Vossi quote from the Rugby League 03 video game on PlayStation 2? That is niche, and I love it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. 3 letters, 4 points always stands out to me. I always really like that one. A Rugby League Gazelle was always a good one from Vossi. I'm trying to think of other ones that I remember, Kat, I had a day last year where all my content for that day was just quotes from that game. And it was Unreal. Absolutely loved it. People got stuck into it. I've still got the game down at my caravan down the south coast. Still play it when I get down there. Rugby League Gazelle was probably my favourite on that one. Always stood out to me. I'm actually struggling to think off the top of my head. Do you remember this game, Kat?
No.
Do you get the reference?
For context, I did not grow up in a league house at all, so I've done a lot of catch up on rugby league stuff, and I'm definitely due to get across this game.
Yeah, no, there was actually, the one that has stuck with me the most, and Kat, you hear this all the time now, when you used to take the shot at goal and it used to go through the middle, Vossi would go straight down the hey diddle diddle.
Oh, yeah, you say that all the time.
All the time. That one stuck out to me. Shout out to you, Connor. That is a cracking question.
It is a great question.
Let me get back to you on that. I'll have a think about it because I'm shooting a blank live here, but those ones are probably the ones that came to me straight away. But my God, there are some niche ones in there. Some real niche ones that are sensational.
Talk about a throwback Thursday. We love it. Josh Dub Wallace. Hey, Roo. Hey, Kat. Loving all the content so far. Thank you very much. What do you think a safe VC score from Hynes is to take for a loop? Or is it better option to go KP for a strong bounce back? I have KP and Scotty Drinkbloke as my ones. I am going either one of them for my captain if Hynes doesn't score well. My beans means Hynes teams is going... Wow. My beans means Hynes' team is going to bounce back this week after a disappointing 8-0-1 score from round one. Oh, wow. Don't worry, Kat, you did better than me, and I've played for over 7 years now.
Yeah, we can't stress enough. I do not give a flying fuck about your round one score. I don't care about mine. It'll be quickly forgotten, so don't stress.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, how good. Josh, I think in order to take it, honestly, if we were 10 weeks down the track, I would say you need 120, 130 to consider a Niko Hynes VC. Honestly, if he scores 90 or above, I consider a VC. And people will go, that's too low, that's ridiculous. But fuck, go and have a look at the captain's options last week and how they went. The Cowboys scored 1,000 points. I think Scott Drinkwater got outscored by fucking Chad Townsend, who barely put his boots on. I just think if you can get those high scores as VCs that are close enough to 100, I'd probably take them this week, to be completely honest with you. Scores are low. Everyone's still working shit out. Double points of 100-plus score, you take it every day of the week or even close to 100. I would take it. Personally, I'm going to VC Hynes and I'm going to captain Kalen Ponga. That's the way I'm looking at it. Kalen Ponga, he had a couple of good moments, but I thought for the vast majority of the game, he was pretty lost. I personally think that left edge, putting Kai Pearce-Paul out there, I reckon he's going to attract so many eyes on that edge for Newcastle. I reckon it's going to open up a lot for KP. So I feel pretty confident taking him as my captain. I thought the Cowboys looked really good the other day, but once again, Titans of not getting off the bus fame. Keen to see them go up against a good opposition. I know that the Newcastle boys, we had Jackson actually phone in about half an hour ago. We spoke to him quickly. I know they are lining up for a bounce-back game here up there. So Kalen Ponga also returning back to North Queensland where he made his first grade debut. I think he puts a bit of a show on up there. So Hynes VC into KP. If Hynes gets 90 plus, I will probably take that VC, to be honest with you, especially because I've got so many shit front row forwards and I'm happy to fuck off. I'd be happy to make that move, brother.
Love it. Very nice. Okay, Eric, this is your question. A term I hate in all sports is this guy is the next such and such when you are comparing athletes. Latrell, Cobbo, and the Hammer have all been called the next GI. I love all of these players, and GI is my favourite of all time. Agreed with you there, Eric. But I think it's much better to be the first Cobbo, the first Hammer, the first Trell. Saying that, are there any footy terms that you can't stand? Thanks, Eric. Up the bunnies.
Eric, if you don't like people comparing players to previous guys, you're going to fucking hate me with a passion because I love doing this. And I don't look at it as your boxing guys as being the same as other guys. I just think player comps are very helpful to understand where guys are going. One that I've said this year, I think Siwa Wong looks a lot like Sonny Bill Williams to me. The offload and everything he's got. I'm not telling you he's going to be the next Sonny Bill Williams. I'm not telling you he's Sonny Bill Williams. What I'm saying to you is that the way that he plays is very Sonny Bill-esque. Is he going to be one of the greatest athletes this planet has ever seen? Probably fucking not. But the way that he plays his rugby league, he is in the Sonny Bill Williams mould. I think quite often people get very defensive about that sort of stuff. I don't see it like that. I see it as a compliment to guys, and I don't see it as putting pressure on them or anything. I just see it as that's what they look like. That's what I see when I see these guys. And hopefully one day, Siwa Wong, for example, when I see someone in the future, I'll be able to say, oh, he reminds me of Siwa Wong. He did these things, which I think will resonate with the Sonny Bill Williams call in the early parts of his career. So I understand why people don't like that, but I do think sometimes we overthink that sort of stuff a little bit. What are the sayings and footy terms that you can't stand? Nothing's coming to mind for me, to be completely honest with you. Nothing's really jumping out of the ground at me. I do dislike. I'll tell you what annoys me, especially in the early parts of this season, when people base their opinions on rugby league on who they beat and who they lost to rather than the actual performances, Kat. For example, you say, people said to me last week, oh, the Dragons were shit. The Dragons won, but they only played the Titans, so it doesn't matter. It's like, well, hold on. No. You've got to look at how they actually played their football, the structure they played with, all that sort of stuff. So that's probably the number one thing that comes to mind for me. A lot of the time for me, it's performance over scoreboard. I think too many people that probably have lives outside of rugby league, unlike myself, probably overanalyze scoreboard over performance to me, which I don't really like. Anything come to mind for you there, Kat? It's a really good question. It really had me thinking.
It is a really good question. There's nothing in particular that comes to mind, but I do kind of want to challenge you on, I guess, your comparisons. Like, you like to do that, but I did see Luke Brooks' interview where he said that the comparison to Joey Johns was a massive pressure on him very early in his career. And I do think it comes down to the individual and what they're like, and it can add some weight depending on who you're compared to. So I think it's one thing to say, oh, this up-and-coming player has the speed like Fox or a speed like Saab or whatever, but it's very different to then be compared to an Immortal and now you feel like you've got the weight of GI's career on your shoulder or Joey John's career on your shoulder, and in reality you could be just as good, but that pressure's not for everyone. Yeah,
no, and that's a very fair and valid point. And obviously Luke Brooks is a pretty good example of that. And I do feel when, like, a guy like Luke Brooks, I do feel sorry for him because it wasn't Luke Brooks calling himself the next Andrew Johns. It was everyone else, you know what I mean? So it is a valid point, something to consider. But personally, I don't have a huge issue with that sort of stuff. I think that it helps I think that players, it's the NRL, you need to be able to deal with pressure, outside noise, all that sort of stuff. So I'm okay with it. But like, for example, if it was my son, daughter, brother, sister that was in that boat, maybe I would feel differently about it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Anyway, I think it's a great question. It's a nice perspective to think about. Wayne91. Okay, Guru, I'm a head-to-head player. Want to go Moses to Hynes and Dylan Lucas to someone cheaper to facilitate the move. Talk to me. Pros and cons.
Moses to Hynes and Moses
Dylan Lucas.
to Hynes. Interesting. Yeah. So you're going to go Moses to Hynes. Look, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be moving to Hynes right now. I mean, he just had a score of 24 odd. He's probably going to lose a little bit of money. Why not wait a week to go to him? Once again, just chill out. If Hynes goes, low again this week, you'll have a lot of people selling him. It'll become a really interesting buy to grab him. Dylan Lucas is out with the HIA. He'll be back next week. I'd sit and watch Kaipi's pool this week and sort of work out where Dylan Lucas is at.
Also, I'm wondering who his other halfback option is, because surely you just if Moses is out because of this issue last week. Is Moses out or is he?
No, he's playing.
He's playing.
They reckon he's sweet. So I would assume right now Wayne has got Nathan Cleary and Mitch Moses.
You'd think.
I wouldn't be trading to Hynes at the moment unless you think he's, you know what his thinking is. His thinking is Hynes is playing Canterbury this week and he's going to go big, mate. If you went against Mitch Moses to start the season, I would stay. Sorry, if you went against Niko Hynes to start the season, I would back that in at the moment. You won the first week. Don't shit the bed as soon as you see a good Hynes matchup. You knew he had that matchup. You decided to go against him. That's completely fine. Mitch Moses is playing Penrith, which is a bad matchup, but Parramatta have a really fucking good record against Penrith Panthers. Yeah. I think the Parramatta Eels win again this week against Penrith. So, mate, I personally think you've got out in the middle. You've seen a bit. You've got a bit of deer in headlights about you. Back in your gut feel from a week ago, you were proven right last week. Hynes went really fucking poorly, and I'm still not convinced how that combo of Trindall Hynes is going to go. So I wouldn't be, completely flipping the table to try and get Hynes in. I just don't think it makes sense for you right now.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I agree with you there, Guru. Okay, Jake Wright. What's going on with your draft team, Guru? Being quiet on that front. Is it panic stations yet? Cheers. Love the content.
Jake Wrong, I think his name is. No, mate, no panic stations just yet. I'm actually really happy with my team. We lost on the weekend. We posted our draft review the other day because I'm still trying to work out my side and where everyone fits. But, this week will be really interesting. A guy like Kai Pearce-Paul gets his opportunity, who I drafted. Wong's back in. Ben Travojevic still got his spot. I'm holding on to Jack Cogger, so I'm hoping that he can come on and play well. I wouldn't mind seeing him grab that 5'8" jersey over the next few weeks. I'm still going to be heavily pushing this Josh Curran to get front row forward. I need it for Classic and Draft. You'll be seeing more of that, which reminds me, Kat, we've got to cut up that content at some point.
I just thought about it too.
I'll be talking more about the draft team as we go. If you guys have followed my draft content over the last few years, you'll know that I always start a little bit slower because I've got a few smokies I'm trying to work out, and then I'll build into the season as we go. And I think I'll be able to build a little bit quicker this year than what I have previously. Really happy with my side, especially with Scott Drinkwater. I mean, the Cowboys scored 1,000 points the other day and he didn't score overly well, but I think he will build. Kat, give me another one.
One more. Okay, Cameron Richardson. Unfortunately, I started with Arrow and Tomalolo on the front row. I was thinking Arrow to May, but not sure about the other trade. Would you trade out both or give Lolo one more week? My other front rowers are Hughes and Fifita.
Mate, just give it another week. I know everyone's panic stations about Taumalolo, and I get it, but
it's Taumalolo.
It's also, with all due respect, you brought a 30-year-old front row forward who has underachieved for the last 3 years. I mean, and then in their first game, they blew the opposition off the park. Jake Granville played 45 minutes. Sam McIntyre played 45 minutes. I think it is fair to assume that we have not seen the Cowboys rotation yet. So I would just wait a week. For all the reasons that Tim Williams convinced you to go Taumalolo, I don't think anything has changed. They just had an easy matchup round one. If he plays 20 minutes against Newcastle as well, ship him off. See you later. Thanks for coming. But just wait a week. See what happens with Taumalolo. For all you know, he scores a try this weekend and scores 60. All of a sudden, you're looking at an 80-point average from the first 2 weeks, which was a nightmare. A 40-point average from the first 2 weeks, 80 points. Just be patient. Just wait and see what happens there. Your other front row forward spot, mate, you don't have to trade Arrow this week. See who puts their hand up and demands to be picked this week. See who scores a try. See who does well. Just wait and see. Very, very similar advice to before, which I apologise for, but it is just the reality of round one. Now, for all of you that are on YouTube, we are going to hit the frog and toad. We've got about 15 more questions to go, so I still think we've got probably half an hour up our sleeve here, Kat, to follow. The rest of this episode will be available on the Patreon, the Roo Crew. You can go and follow there. The link is in the description. If you're here on YouTube, go and watch your Roo Crew members. We're going to continue with the episode now, but for those of you on YouTube, thanks for joining us. As always, if you want to watch the end of this episode, the rest of it, hit the link in the description. Join the Roo Crew. $8 a month, $2 a week for an unbelievable amount of content. You're going to have too much to watch. We'll see you soon.